Hey everyone, it's Helen here, aka Dirt in the Ground. I'm all wrapped up because I got absolutely soaked earlier on by ice cold rain, so if I seem very jittery or shaky during this video, just ignore it. It's purely just from me trying to warm myself up. I'm going to be talking to you today about special effects makeup concerning burns. So I'm actually going to talk about theory first, and then I'll be moving on to actually how to do it. And then later on, I'll actually be doing a burn on Darren, so he'll love it. But uh, I'll be doing a second degree burn on Darren. So burns are classified into three classes: first degree, second degree, third degree, or otherwise, um, superficial, partial thickness, and full thickness. Superficial burn affects the top layer of the skin, so that's just the epidermis. The skin looks red and is mildly painful, and the top layer of the skin may peel a day or so after the initial burn. But the underlying skin is fine, and you shouldn't have any scarring from it. Sunburn is a very good example of this. I am, by the way, reading from my textbook. This is the textbook that we use at college. I'm just reading from the textbook just so I have my information in front of me. A partial thickness burn causes deeper damage, and the skin forms blisters and is very raw, red, and painful. However, some of the deeper layer of the tissue, the dermis, which is just underneath the epidermis, is unharmed. This usually means the skin can heal well without um, scarring, unless the burn is much larger, burn. Then you can possibly get scarring. And a full thickness burn is third degree burn, which damages all the layers of the skin: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis, which is where the blood vessels are, as in the arteries, the veins, the lymphatic system, and the adipose tissue, which is your fatty tissue. The skin can be white and waxy or charred black. Um, there may be little or no pain, as the nerve endings are destroyed from a third degree burn, so it's quite serious. Electrical burns can cause damage inside the body even if there is little or no damage to the skin. I'll explain that to you now. Because electrical burns cause more damage. Electrical burns cause more damage inside than outside, is because they need an entry point and an exit point. So say if I touched my hand to an exposed wire and I was standing up, say, and I got an electric shock. Say I touched these fingers. That's where the burn would be, and it would travel in through my body, and I would get a lot of damage on the inside of my body as the electricity passed through my organs, etc. And I would have an electrical burns on my feet, where the electricity earths itself on the ground, because it needs a place to earth itself. It needs an exit point. So they are the places where the burns would be. It wouldn't be like all over. It would just be 2 points, and the entry point and the exit point, because as we all know, electricity, our bodies are conductors of electricity, and it needs an entry point and an exit point. Always remember that. And when we do an electric shock, it's the inside of our bodies that suffer the most damage than the outside of our body. Excuse me. And I will be showing you some pictures here. Sorry, if any of you are squeamish, don't look. You might not be able to see this very well. This is a superficial burn. You can just see it's just a little bit red, a little bit blistery. There. This is a second degree burn. These are all special effects makeup, by the way. Ignore the death and corpses part there. And this is the third degree burn, which is very, very gruesome and very, 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 very serious, and happens quite a lot. Um, Sorry, my camera kind of just went out there for a second. I'm going to be talking about the causes of burns. The main causes are chemical, electrical, radiation, scalding, and inhalation injury. I won't be talking about inhalation injury because I'm talking about it in relation to special effects makeup, and of course we don't do inhalation injury because we don't stuff things into people's mouths or down people's throats. That would, you know, make it obvious around somebody's mouth if there was burns there, but not down their throat because that's silly and dangerous. But chemical burns are caused by chemicals like acids or bases, like corrosive chemical compounds such as sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide are two big ones. Hydrofluoric acid is a major serious one. It can cause damage down to the bone, and its burns are sometimes not immediately evident. Chemical burns can be either first, second, or third degree burns because depending on the duration of the contact. The quicker it's dealt with, the less damage there will be. The strength of the substance and other factors also play a part in this. If it's pure acid or pure base, it's not good. Electrical, I've been through that with you. Lightning strikes are a big one. If you survive a lightning strike, it is very different to if you don't survive a lightning strike. A lightning strike will leave a strange pattern on your body. It's like little kind of veiny kind of burns all over your body. Say if you got hit in the shoulder, so it kind of all peters off like this. If you do not survive a lightning strike, it's like third degree burns all over your body. You are just blackened, and you will not have an open casket funeral, unfortunately. It's quite horrific, and so I would actually recommend you to look up photos. I know that sounds really horrific, but if you are wanting to do makeup artistry as a living, these are the kind of things that we are told to look up. We were given a list of things to look up, and corpses and things like that were one of them. So you know, I think these things are things that you have to look up because these are things that you have to reenact. You have to be able to replicate it on somebody. And being able to tell the difference between somebody who has survived a lightning attack and somebody who hasn't is a big one. But there's loads of different kinds of electrical burns. And there's radiation burns. The most common one is overexposure to sunlight in the summertime, so wear your SPF. There's also radiation therapy for cancer patients, tanning booths, microwave burns as well. Scalding is a big one from boiling water or oil, or from gases like steam, even from tap water, in baths or showers or spilled drinks. There are even cases of immersion burns from child abuse and spousal abuse, which is really terrible. And they can generally, scald burns can be first or second degree burns, but third degree burns can happen, unfortunately, with prolonged contact. So they are the main causes of burns. So that's my first video for you done, and I know it's all just theory about special effects and burns, but you really do need to know the different kinds of burns and the different causes of burns, because if you create a burn on somebody and then somebody says, oh, that's a really cool burn, but how did your client get this burn? Did they get it from a fire, or did they get it from a steam burn, or did they get it from somebody spilling something like a chemical on them? Because somebody did a burn today there on somebody's arm, and she said, oh, she got it from putting her hand into the fireplace. And the tutor said, well, if she did that, her hand would be burned, not her arm, because unless her hand magically doesn't burn, she says, because she would have had to put her hand through the fire to get her arm burnt. So she said her burns should be all over her hand, not just this patch on her arm. And I did a burn here on somebody, and she said, how did this happen? And I said she was working in a chemistry lab and spilt hydrochloric acid on her skin. And she said, very good. She said, that's a perfect example there. She said, because you haven't got anything. I had little burns on her hands from, kind of her maybe panicking and going like that, but the big burn was here. And she said, I like the little details, the little specks of burn. She said, but the big burn is here. She said, but it is plausible that happened. She said, rather than, putting your hand through a fire and magically your hand doesn't burn, but this part of your arm does burn. So they changed their story, and they said she was reaching over and somebody lit a Bunsen burner without telling her, and it burnt her arm. So, that is plausible as well. So you do have to think about those things. You have to think about the severity of the burn, how it happened, and so yeah. And now I'm going to go on to how to create these burns. Okay, bye.